Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. So right now, Rhode Island has momentum. And the budget that I'll sign today gives us the tools to ensure that our momentum continues. This budget is really about two things: providing relief to Rhode Islanders now, and making long-term fiscal responsible investments in Rhode Island's future. As most of you know in the room, I was a basketball coach, and you don't get it done alone on the court, and you don't get it done alone in this building for the people in the state of Rhode Island. You need a strong team where everybody pulling their weight and doing the things that are really important to our state, for our state. So I want to thank Speaker Shekarchi, Chairman Abney, and your House colleagues, Senate President Ruggerio, Chairman Pearson, and your Senate colleagues, the Lieutenant Governor for her strong support and advocacy, and my cabinet, including our OMB Director Brian Daniels and Joe Codiga. All the advocates, the stakeholders, and Rhode Islanders who shared their ideas and provided testimony as we put the budget together, as I presented it, and then as it was debated in both the Senate and Finance committees, and then brought to the floor for a vote. This is a budget that we all can be proud of. I know you hear me say a lot, but it's worth repeating. Rhode Island has momentum. We have the lowest unemployment rate in over 30 years, a few basis points away from having the lowest unemployment in the history of the state of Rhode Island, and I believe we'll get there. This budget's going to help us get there. Our economic recovery is ranked second in the nation by Moody's. This budget gives us the tools to ensure that that momentum continues. In housing, we're making a once-in-a-generation $250 million investment in housing to finally address the housing crisis in a meaningful way, a pledge that I made during my State of the State address, and a pledge that both the Speaker and the Senate President have also been public on at the same time. This is the largest investment of American Rescue Plan funds in the budget that has been passed. And I do believe that we can take that $250 million and leverage it to $1 billion worth of housing in the state of Rhode Island. We'll create the housing, but just as important is going to create and sustain jobs, good-paying jobs. Our goal is to raise incomes for all the families in the state. Children and family investments. The budget makes bold investments that position Rhode Island to be the best place to raise a family and find real economic opportunity. We're investing in child care. We know that was a priority for the Senate President, which not only investments in families and our economy today, but generations to come. And we're delivering a $250 child tax rebate to middle-class families across our state. And again, the Speaker and the Senate President work together to make these things happen. I'm proud that our budget also covers all kids in Medicaid, regardless of immigration status, and expand postpartum Medicaid coverage for moms to 1 year. Rhode Island is currently ranked the third best state in the nation for working moms. This budget positions us to continue to move closer and to be #1 in the country for working moms and raising families. And with everybody's help in this room, we'll get there. We have targeted tax relief. The budget also delivers targeted plan to provide relief to families, veterans, and local businesses. In addition to our child tax credits, the budget accelerates the car tax phase-out, and ends the tax on military retirement benefits. And I'm pleased the fact that we felt as though we might have had to layer that in a little at a time, but once the numbers came in May, the General Assembly took on that effort, phasing it in one shot. It expands the state's property tax circuit breaker program for elderly and disabled residents and reduces unemployment insurance taxes for local businesses by an estimated $10 million a year. There is so much in this budget that I am very proud of, and I could keep going on, but I'll stop there. And over the next several weeks, we'll layer out each and every piece of this budget that is going to help us keep the momentum and transform our state into a place where we'll be leading the country in terms of all those economic components, along with the families that we're serving, along with the issues that are so important to us today, whether it has to do with a woman's right to choose or whether it has to do with issues that are related to keeping our schools safe, funding our schools, the list goes on, but it can't happen without the leadership in the General Assembly. So I look forward to managing this budget. As I said, as a mayor, a budget is given me by the legislators, and it's my job to manage it. And we will manage it. And we'll maximize the opportunity that it represents for all Rhode Islanders in all 39 cities and towns. So with that, I'd like to introduce Speaker Joseph Shekarchi to the podium. Thank you, Joe. It's a good day.
Thank you, Governor. It's great to be here with all of you, and unfortunately the rain prevented us from being outside, but we nevertheless will have a lot of sunshine today. This is a great budget. I've only been Speaker for about 18 months. This is my third budget, and it's the best one. It's the most difficult budget, but it's a good budget because we had federal stimulus money to spend, and we had to spend it wisely. So the General Assembly created a website. We had $12 billion in asks. We listened to those, we considered them, and I think there's a good product here. And we also put aside, I think, $20 million for my friend Neil and the Rhode Island Foundation so that this will continue outside of the budget process. If there are nonprofits and other entities that need that, they have a process to apply for some additional funds. I want to personally thank Governor McKee for signing this outstanding budget in a short amount of time from now. It was a collaborative effort between the governor, the Senate president, and the two finance chairs, Malvin and Ryan Pearson. And we worked hard. We really did, all of us. And it's not always easy. We all have our priorities, but at the end, you'll see a great work product, a work product that meets the needs of the people of Rhode Island and gives targeted tax relief, as the governor said, to keep the economy moving forward. It's critical. I really want to spend a special shout out and a fantastic job by my chairman, Malvin and the entire Finance Committee. Thank you. Malvin presided with dignity, class, fairness, and a dedication, countless hours of public hearings, listening to all the testimony, working tirelessly to get the best possible budget done for the people of Rhode Island. A special shout out goes to Sharon Reynolds Ferlin and her fiscal staff. She gets mad when I recognize her, but by far, she's my, as I like to say, my American Express card. I never leave home without her. She's simply the best. I'm so proud of the targeted tax relief in the budget, eliminating the car tax a year early, a $250 per person tax credit for working families with children, increasing the tax credit for elderly and disabled Rhode Islanders, eliminating taxes on the military, as the governor said, right now, July 1st, which is Friday, not over 2 or 3 years. We made investments. That was the word, if you remember, I've been talking about. I didn't want to spend the money, I wanted to invest it, and we made investments. We made huge investments to address some of the most pressing needs in our state. We put $250 million into housing, affordable housing. $100 million went into the Unemployment Trust Fund to assist our small businesses in Rhode Island that were wiped out. That fund was wiped out during the pandemic. We want to replenish that. God forbid, in case we have another pandemic, we have a healthy fund. We also wanted to increase access to mental health services. I'm very proud that we emphasized a lot of the funding on education. There is $300 million in this budget for school construction to continue to create an environment where our children can learn in the best possible situation. There's a big increase in school funding formula. We nearly double the pre-K seats in over 5 years. I know that was the Senate President's priority. And there's over $100 million in investment to the URI Bay campus. In addition, there are other funds here allocated toward URI to meet the demands. That's our flagship university. It's a land-grant university. We always want our university to succeed. There's $12 million into CCRI. I want to thank everybody for their input. It was a true team effort, and it's my pleasure to call up the Senate President, Dominick Ruggerio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, very much for your introduction. This is probably the best budget I've seen since I've walked into this building. Obviously, as the Speaker said, we had a lot of federal money that we could use for different reasons, and I think we used that money appropriately. What we tried to do was ease the burden on Rhode Island families, especially in light of what's been happening as of late, inflation and things of that nature. So this was a very important budget that we did. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my Senate Chair of Finance, Ryan Pearson, and the members of the committee, because they worked incessantly in conjunction with the House and with Chairman Abney and his members. I think they did an absolutely outstanding job on the budget, and certainly with the input from the governor that we had, I think it's a fabulous budget that the Rhode Islanders can be proud of. I know a lot of people are out there saying we should raise taxes. We don't like to raise taxes. We like to reduce taxes, and that's what we've done in this budget on a number of items. Obviously, we have a $250 tax credit for each child for families to ease the burden of child care in this state. It's very important, number one, not only to provide affordable child care, but also to get people back to work. So this was a very important initiative on the part of the Senate, and I'm proud that it was in the budget. So with direct assistance, this will help a lot of families throughout the state. Obviously, I'm very proud of the fact that we have $250 million that we put in for housing. We're trying to get affordable housing. We're trying to help people with evictions and things of that nature, so we used a lot of that money for that particular purpose. We helped Crossroads. We gave them an additional $10 million for housing needs, and I think that's going to prove that in the future it's going to be something that we're all going to be proud of. The top priority of the Senate this year was expanding the car tax and eliminating the car tax phase-out. Rather than wait till 2023, we're going to do it this year. So those individuals that have vehicles that are in excess of $6,000 will get that property tax relief, and they will no longer have a property tax to pay on their vehicles. So this was very important for what we did. Another one of our initiatives was a universal pre-K. This is very important. We feel that we have to get children in school a little earlier, those 3 and 4 years old. So at this time, we're going to be examining the capacity and how we can move this forward. We're hoping that we can get 5,000 more young children in the school system this coming year. So that's an initiative that we worked with the House on, and I think it's extremely important to get children into school a little earlier, and also to provide the opportunity for parents who don't have to pick these children up at 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and interrupt their jobs. So this was a very important initiative on our part. I know the governor and the speaker expanded upon a lot of the other great things that are in this budget, but one thing that I know some of my senators were extremely supportive of was the veterans. And I can point to Senator Wally Felag, who's been working with veterans for years to try to get them reductions in the income tax and to help them out, those people who are on fixed income. So. We also provided relief for the senior citizens, businesses, and the families in this budget. I am exceedingly proud to be here today, and I certainly want to thank all my colleagues in the Senate for the phenomenal job that they've done this year. These are difficult times, as everyone knows. And last year we were at Rhode Island College. This year we came back to the State House, and I think everyone was comfortable with that particular situation. And I think we were able to conduct our work and move on. And I think the people of the state, once they realize everything that's in this budget, they're going to be very proud of what we've done this year. So I want to thank everyone present. I certainly want to thank the Speaker, his leadership team, his Finance Committee Chair, Malvin, and certainly my own Finance Committee members, because I knew they all worked countless hours this year to come up with this budget. And I can't say enough great things about everyone involved this year. So I want to thank everyone for being here, and it gives me a great pleasure to present the Lieutenant Governor, Sabina Matos, to give some remarks. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you. It has been a pleasure to witness the partnership between the governor, the speaker, and the Senate president. It's so great to see people working together to deliver for the state of Rhode Island. So thank you so much for what you have done. Thank you. I'm not going to go over the list of accomplishments that we got in this budget because you heard already from the governor, from the speaker, and from the Senate president. But one thing that I really want to do is I want to thank all the advocates that are here. Thank you for the work that you did. Thank you for advocating. Thank you for working with my office and using my office as a bullhorn to get the message across. It has been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to continue working with all of you and getting more work done on behalf of the state of Rhode Island. Thank you. With that, it's a pleasure for me to introduce Chairman Malvin from the House Finance Committee. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. I'm not sure what time zone I'm on after the last 2 or 3 months, but it takes me back to my old days when I was in the military in Belgium, and every morning, you know, it would be, bonjour, ça va, the whole thing. And so I really appreciate the time that you are here to do that. And the governor, lieutenant governor, and my great friend, the president of the Senate, and certainly the Speaker of the House, and my real good friend that we spent a lot of hours with, Chairman Pearson. As the Lieutenant Governor said, a lot of numbers have been thrown about and priorities and those sorts of things. But you know what, I like to take time to just talk reasonably with reasonable people about budgets. Budgets are these things, and Sharon, my guide, as you've heard, is a person who deals with this every day, but numbers of those things that are out there in the stratosphere. But when I go to Shaw's and Stop and Shop and places like that, you know, people aren't asking me about numbers. They're asking me about what can you do, or what are you doing to help make my life a little bit better. And one of the things that I know that we have done over the past 8 or 9 months has been a heck of a collaborative effort between the governor's office and my office and Chairman Pearson's office in putting this together. It's not been easy. One of the things, and it was mentioned before, was that we have so many committed advocates and I know all 10,000 of you by now, that there was no way that anything that was going to be done in this budget, it came from those who work with it every day, and I really appreciate that. And I also appreciate the hard work of the elected officials that we have. I know on Brian's committee, people don't realize that, an elected person, this is not our full-time jobs. Most of us have other jobs. I had a member who used to come to Zoom meetings on a tractor, who has a farm to make things happen. I mean, this is Rhode Island. This is us. We work hard and we play hard. So I love to thank those, and certainly all of the dedicated staff that makes these things happen. And mostly importantly, through the portal, Rhode Islanders told us what they needed. This was a budget that was built from the bottom up. It's nothing that myself and Chairman Pearson sit around and thought up ourselves. We think we did, but we didn't. Mostly it was because of people like yourselves who were telling us what they needed, and we tried to respond to that. So it's important to do that. It's important to listen to all of the messages that we got. I still have messages on my phone. It's going to take me a week to get all of the messages off of my phone that have gotten since and before the budget happened. But, most of the people, I would say 90%, have said things like, Chairman Abney, you ran a pretty strict committee downstairs. I only got a chance to speak for 2 minutes, but that was the first time in my life that I'd ever come to a state capitol and I had 2 minutes to tell my story, and I told it, and it made a difference, and I see the result of that you listen. So those are the kind of things that makes me proud to have worked with everybody here involved on the budget itself. You gotta listen, and my old mantra is that we've got to get it right. Get it right the first time. Yeah, you're gonna make some errors, but I know that with the governor's help, he had a great team, and Brian and Joe, who used to come to my office, and we would go at it for a while until we got it right. And I think that did happen, and there was no animosity at all about that. But it was something that we did, and I'm very proud of that. It's already been recognized with the veterans in the room, but when I was first elected, it seems like it's been 25 years ago, but it's only been about 9 or 10. One of the things that I ran on, and one of the things that caused me to run, was that Rhode Island has so many veterans that serve worldwide in places that you just cannot even imagine. I've been to some of them and met people from Rhode Island, so I wanted to make sure that we took care of our vets, because there was always this data point that we're moving out of Rhode Island because you're taxing our state income tax. Well, we decided to take that data point away from them. And if you served in the military and you get a retirement pay from Uncle Sam, you will see a difference in what you get. And it's not a lot, but it says thank you for the thankless job that you do. I spoke to my son last night, who's in the UK right now with his general officer, and they're doing stuff that we just couldn't talk about on the phone because of what's happening in the world today. These are people from Rhode Island who are doing that, so I take my hat off to all of you who persevered and wear the funny little caps that I'll be wearing one of these days. And finally, the hard-working people of this state. Rhode Islanders work hard, they play hard, they want to do what's best and do what's right for their family. They don't want you to give them anything, they just want the opportunity to succeed in life. And I know that that's what this budget does. It allows mothers who want to work to have some income that will help them. That's exponentially a good thing to have. So it just makes me feel good to know that everything you guys ask us to do, we didn't make everybody happy. The governor can tell you that's not going to happen all of the time when you're in these positions. But I think we did set a tone that we're listening and that we have a path that we're going on, and we're going to stay on that path, and we're not going to turn around and go backwards. And that's when all of the technical things about budgets comes in. We're well positioned to go into the next 10 years and erase a lot of those things that have happened. So that's what makes me feel good. And that's, when I work hard and I stay awake at night trying to figure out what to do, it's for that reason. So I appreciate that, and I want to thank all of you who've been so good in helping us understand what we need. And so I'm going to turn it over to my bestest buddy that we spent a lot of time together over the last several months or so, Chairman Pearson, who represented the Senate side. We got 3 co-equal branches of government here, and I think we all worked very well to get a job well done for the people of Rhode Island. So thank you very much. And Ryan, if you want to come up and do your thing, don't show me up now.
Thank you, Chairman Abney, and it has been a privilege to work with you, the members of the House Finance Committee, Sharon, your fiscal advisor, and ours, Steve. Chairman Abney mentioned it. We spent an abnormal amount of time together, given the size and the number of decisions that were needed in this budget. I think it's really important for us to remember how we got here. There are a list of many accomplishments that everyone has mentioned, but I really want to mention what led us here. One, an economic recovery that was far stronger and far faster than we would have ever projected. And that recovery is due to many decisions by the governor, the lieutenant governor, the president, the speaker, and all the members of the legislature. And Rhode Island is really making a comeback. And that comeback is really buoying our state revenues and helping us afford much of what is here. Obviously, the federal support has been incredibly helpful and is truly allowing us to build Rhode Island back better, much to the agenda that the president began to set out. But we are still faced with headwinds. We are still faced with planning for any potential future health issues that may come our way, planning for economic softness that may come as the whole U.S. economy begins to reshuffle itself, structural deficits that we're working hard to remove, and also many state services, infrastructure, technologies that just weren't invested in for years, and really wanted to make sure we made the right decisions to do that. And the work began not in January, but it began last fall. We began hearings on the ARPA funds, what it could be used for, and hearing from advocates and folks who positioned probably hundreds of proposals in front of us, and really wanted to make sure that we heard. But when we did begin, we set out with 2 objectives: a budget that cares for Rhode Islanders today, but invests in our future, and also one, as many have said, that doesn't just spend this money, but invests it. And it was really important to us, and I'm proud to stand here today and say we're meeting both of those goals, which were not easy at times. There were many times where we had to say no to things, and saying no when folks perceive you have a big pot of money is a lot harder than you may think to work with. And so, as we think about this, I'm really particularly proud about a tax relief package in this budget that will hit every single Rhode Islander. Transformational investments in education, from early childhood learning, which was a big priority of the Senate President, all the way through higher ed. Investments in blue economy and our ports. These are the types of investments that will truly allow us to reshift and build a better economic base for Rhode Island for many years to come. And they were very intentionally done and built in a way that can do that. Housing, I know I hear it, and I know every one of my colleagues hears it. At every income level and every community, there are housing issues. And this budget makes absolutely historic levels in housing. And on the healthcare front, it remains a distinct challenge for us in Rhode Island. We've had years of underinvestment, years of our payer mix being out of balance. We continually see our Medicaid rates low, and our Medicare rates as well below the private pay market. And it really has created a full-on imbalance in the system that we consistently see rear its head in different forms. And so this year, I'm very, very proud that we were able to raise our Medicaid rates across a series of services. Also, very importantly, put in a place and a mechanism that we will have data and information to be able to make decisions on our future and really begin the path to some payment reform here in Rhode Island that is so critical to delivering health care to Rhode Islanders at an appropriate cost. But as everyone said, none of this would work without a lot of commitment and time. I want to thank the members of my committee in the Senate, the Finance Committee. They put in enormous hours, often, asking me, how much more do we have left for some many, many late evenings, and then had to get up for their day jobs early in the morning. I, of course, thank my counterpart, House Finance Chair Abney. It was a very strong partnership this year and one that we spent many, many hours. And of course, with both Steve, Sharon, and our respective fiscal teams, countless hours of work. But I want to actually underline two folks in the governor's administration, Joe Codiga and Brian Daniels, for all their support. It is the weeds of the budget that we asked them to figure out for us, and the massive document that you see over there is filled with a lot of weeds, and one that we need a lot of assistance and support on. And so I want to thank them both publicly, and Governor, for having them on your team. And with that, Governor, I think it's time to sign this budget.